Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Blitz, and in today's video, we will be comparing the IS-4 to the Object 260. Both of these Tier 10 Soviet heavies are mobile, featuring solid DPM and very similar style guns. But their playstyles, while similar, are also quite unique amongst themselves. So, in today's video, I'll be letting you know personally which of the two tanks I like better. Now, I actually already had this video up earlier today, but I accidentally also had my Yo clip in between. My life's been a little busy over the past few days because my sister's been visiting, and we were up playing Mario till like 3 a.m., so I thought my IS-4 video was finished. Turns out I just threw it in front of the Yo video that I had already made and then merged them together. So, oh well, not that big of a deal. I decided to just re-record the video anyway because half of it was me complaining about bad teammates, which nobody wants to see. I mean, maybe you do, but if you do, you can just watch me play on live streams anyway. So, we are going to be redoing it, starting off on Dynasty's Pearl, up against two M6 shows in Platoon. So that's going to be just swell. We have a 183 and a VK90 in return. I mean, the VK90 is pretty good, but his name is... I thought it said Nub8. Okay, well, I don't know. So let's start off by getting into the front line. The IS-4, as you can see, is quite fast. Especially with speed boost, we can accelerate upwards of like 46 kilometers per hour. Pretty impressive. It's not the fastest heavy, but it's a fairly quick vehicle for what it is, at least. We have the 62A, we have the enemy minnow, and the minnow obviously is a big old threat arena, so we're going to aim in on his turret, and because we do feature 370 millimeters of heat pen, we can easily cut right through that minnow with very little effort. We also have the Jagdpanzer, which again, with the high level of heat penetration we feature, we can cut directly through. So already we've been able to get out some pretty solid results and showcase where the gun on this vehicle is quite good. We've been able to get out bleeds, we've been able to get some decent shells into the enemy already. We have the Yag showing us his big old box, and, unfortunate. I don't want to bleed any health, and that minnow, as you could tell, was staring right at me. So, we're playing this smart. We're going to wait here. We'll see if that 50B tries to roll around the corner, or maybe the Yo does. Let's see. There you go. We do have the Yo, and we're going to hatch him. Ooh, he's running the triple shot. See, the triple shot on the Yo really doesn't scare me, because it takes so long for it to get out the shells that it's really just not that scary of a weapon. And then we can just poke the Yo and shoot him for 457 and back up. This is where the IS-4 does feel really, really capable, is when you're able to use the mobility it features, get out some big ol' slaps into the enemy. We've gotten some good bleeds so far, and I'm just going to focus this Yo, because we feature just as good DPM as the Yo, and yeah, we're a pretty dangerous foe for this player to go up against. The Boss Chation's going to get one bleed into him, we're going to finish him off. And all that leaves is an AMX 50B and the enemy M6 Yo. The Boss Chation shoots at the 50B. He's dead, though, anyway, from the 183. Well, that was a pretty good game. I thought it was going to be a little bit cringe because they had two Yos, which, if they had played correctly to the park, could have been able to bleed a lot of health off, but they didn't. So we were actually able to get out a pretty good farm of 3,150 damage. We assisted 462 and finished top on the team. This is a great example of the high level of DPM and the mobility on the IS-4 allowing me to quickly reposition and deal with whatever is in front of me. The heat pen is quite nice. The accuracy is quite good, 370 mils pen. All of that's fantastic. And mobility-wise, the tank goes at a base top speed of 42, so a super speed boost, boosting the top speed by 4 kilometers per hour, we can reach a grand total of 46. The reverse speed is also a huge buff. The reverse speed on super speed boost allows you to get an 8 kilometer per hour buff, which means we go from 14 reverse to 22, which is also huge. So all of that is really nice. Power to weight's pretty good on the vehicle. And the turret armor on the IS-4 is fantastic. The only problem is the hull armor is pretty bad. The upper plate's only about 250, the lower plate's pretty weak, The side armor is not nearly as good as it was in the past. And what that means is that the majority of shells that hit this vehicle in the hull are going to pen. There are certain spots you'll get bounces. The tank is still pretty good at side scraping, and it still has that really tricky little mid thing which can get bounces as well. But for the most part, it's the turret that's strong, which is not the case for the Object 260. The Object 260 is a lot more mobile than the IS-4. It doesn't rely on a speed boost, and it achieves a top speed of 50, reverses at 20. So this tank is definitely more mobile. Everything about speed on the 260 is better than the IS-4. The 260 also features more DPM at 2,900 base instead of 2,700. But the difference is that the 260 has a much worse pen. 270 on the standard and its APCR, so probably close to about 20 mils of worse pen on the standard. The Heat also has 20 worse mils of pen. Instead of 373, it's 353. So the gun is just flat worse in the pen values. Not only that, but it's got lower damage per shot. And armor-wise, the 260 is flat worse on the turret, and its hull is, I would actually say, similar, but because the lower plate's so large, it's still not great. So in general, the differences between these tanks are mainly the guns and the mobility. The armor is not much of a change, I would say. However, the turret on the IS-4 is multiple times better than the 260. If you have high heat pen, probably anywhere upwards of 340 and above, you can cut right through the 260's lower part of the turret. And even if you don't pen it, half the time the shells ricochet off of the turret and end up penetrating the superstructure anyway. So we might see that happen today, we might not. Personally, the only problem I have with the 260 is that it just really sucks at holding. The vehicle doesn't have enough armor or alpha to really scare people. And, you know, kind of like driving a Concept 1B, you can do a really good job when you get in a haul down situation, but you don't really do enough to scare people. The difference is I choose a Concept over this tank any day, because the Concept actually has a really accurate gun and much, much better holding values with the gun depression and turret armor it features. But again, this tank is quick, and you can see that here. We're chilling upwards of 46 kilometers per hour. We are going to head wide, and that's just because I think going wide is a really, really good position. We do have a lot of teammates coming over here as well, so I don't feel completely left behind. Enemy team has Peace Saber, who I think has the most battles played in the 57 Heavy in the entire NA server, which is kind of goofy. We got a nice shell into the T-125. That's all pretty good. We do have a 183 covering me as well. And we're going to make our way up here. There you go. Another nice shot. We can see the high level of DPM on this vehicle, getting out some pretty good bleeds here. We have the E5. However, I did not think he was actually going to be able to see me. I guess he did. Oh well. I mean, it's fine for now. We still have the 183 on our side. I just don't really know where the E100 is, and that is a big threat. But we do get another shell into the enemy E5, which is pretty sweet. And we reload. Let's see, we got the patent in the back. Can't hit that yet. Get another shell into the E5. We're bleeding this this E5 out quite a lot. Bro is not enjoying life. We've taken off a good 12. Ooh, we got the 100 in the back. There you go. Pretty good bounce. Looks like he hit me directly in the gun, which is exactly what I want. And now we have the E5 over here, who is a dangerous... Oh, just cuts right through my armor. No troubles whatsoever. Well, we hit him back pretty hard. It looks like we're going to start running into some problems, though, if we stay here. Thankfully, as I mentioned, this vehicle does reverse at 20 kilometers per hour, which is quite nice. We got a good shell into the enemy E100, and now we chill here. We stay in cover. E5 can't really pen me from this position. However, we can't pen him either, which kind of sucks for me. Got another shell into the 100. And we can also see that the 183 absolutely nuked him. Wow, that's just a big L from this E100. That was not a hard shell to pen, and somehow bro really messed that up. But it's a classic YOLOing player, so what do I need to say? When players YOLO, they instantly are throwing themselves in the gauntlet of L. So there's two tanks left on the enemy team. We have a 57 Heavy in mid, who we are going aiming on the rear of. Get a nice 360 shot, and that's really about it. I mean, Concept's going to shoot him once. 60 might clear him. He does. So all that leaves is the patent in the back, who we would have been able to shoot, but the 268 was able to get the clear first. So there you go. That's a game in the Object 260. With the IS-4 but able to do everything there, probably. The higher DPM did allow us to get out a teeny bit more, but in terms of the capabilities, I think the IS-4 would have done just as well. But the reverse speed is quite nice. If you want my opinion on the 260 versus the IS-4, I think the 260 is a bit better just because it does have higher top speed, it does have more DPM, and it does have more mobility in general. It's faster on reverse. And these are all things that you will want, especially if you are lacking in armor. And the 260 still does have decent upper plate armor, and its turret still does get bounces. As we saw that game, I got a lot of bounces. But the reverse speed is really the major change. If the IS-4 reversed at 16 or even 18, I'd be willing to say that it is just as good, if not flat better than the 260. But because this tank doesn't rely on a stupid speed boost consumable to actually do its job, and because of that I can put on adrenaline instead of having speed boost on it, I just feel like I can do more in the 260. So that's kind of how I see it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think out of these two vehicles. Which one do you like better? I think both are pretty mid, though. I'm going to be honest. I think in the current meta, if you're going to drive a heavy, you want one that has a lot of holding potential, something like a 777, because this tank has similar mobility to both of the IS-4 and 260, and it also features way better armor, solid DPM, and way better pen. So that's the only thing that, really goes through my mind. And if I want another really good holding tank, I can choose like an IS-7. Sure, it doesn't have 370 mils of heat, but it does have really solid alpha, tungsten, and a crap ton of hit points. So that's how I see it. I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye-bye.